Welcome to a very special episode of Crucible Radio. This week we're going to take every single Year 2 exotic gun and give it a grade for PvP. We also talk about Glass Needles, the Crucible questline, and what we got from the Iron Banner.
Yeah, that was good. I think, weighing the pros, weighing the cons, I'm going to have to give that intro a B. And I give you a B so you know that there's room to improve on it.
I see what you're saying, but that really sounded like an S to me.
An S?
That was S tier.
S? What does S mean? A is the highest.
No. That's what we use for exotics. S, A, B. It makes total, perfect, and clear sense.
What does S even stand for? S. A is the highest.
Special, super, smart.
Okay, well, I still give it a B.
Whatever. Hey, birds, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Swain, how you feeling?
I'm all right. Can't complain. How are you, Bones?
I am miffed. No, I'm not actually miffed. I wanted to say it because I remember Swain saying it that one day and it being funny. But
That's kind of Swain's thing. It was funnier when Swain said it.
I'm the opposite of miffed. I'm great like I always am because this is Crucible Radio, the podcast for all things Destiny PvP, and we're happy to be here.
Crucible Radio.
We had another exciting week of Destiny, which has become my new catchphrase because since The Taken King has come out, it's been nothing but new quests secretly popping up in the middle of the night, and finally some PvP events, and building those Crucible loadouts and grinding for gear and stuff like that. And it has been a non-stop adventure. Some ups, some downs, some all arounds, some crazy sounds, some final rounds.
No final
Stop
rounds.
Me anytime.
Okay. I'm kind of curious to see how far you're going to run with this.
Double downs.
Hey, brings it home. Nicely done. All right, so we talked about Iron Banner last week, but we were, 3 days into it? Now that we're on the other side. Swain, how was your Iron Banner?
I actually had a pretty great Iron Banner on my side. Pretty free of lag. I got some decent drops. I got a couple of the sidearm. I got the pulse rifle just by buying it. I got the boots, a couple of marks. And then on the last day that I played Iron Banner, I was just mucking around. And I was like, I really want the new ship, the Hybridine Thought Crime. And I was playing on stream, and I was just like, it'd be nice. That's why I'm playing this. And then I look over to the right, and I got a legendary drop. And I was like, what is that? And I scroll through my inventory, oh, it's a ship. And I go over it, and I was sure enough, it was right there. And I was like, it almost happened simultaneously when I said it on stream. So it was pretty good.
I'm going to have to try that later.
But it was a good week. It's pretty shadow shot free on my part. What about you, Bones? How was your Iron Banner?
I'd say overall good. I think some people found out, at least on the subreddit, that we had recorded on Thursday and didn't totally understand the drop issue. So I was a little confused, I guess, throughout the rest of the week about no drops. So we'll hit that later. Apparently there was a bug. But overall, I think the Iron Banner is pretty great now. I really, really appreciate two fixes, one that's new and one that's fairly old now. But the buff just automatically applying, perfect, doesn't cost motes.
How many times did I forget to do that in previous Iron Banners?
And the new bounty system is so wonderful, achievable, easy bounties that don't force the same play style from everyone on the map. And, you just get to play a few games and still get those bounties. And then the way your alts speed up and catch up to the first character you get to 5 is so great. Just playing on my Hunter on Sunday and being able to get to rank 5 quickly was awesome. I love those additions. So overall, good solid experience.
Yeah, I have to say those weekly bounties, I love how the last weekly bounty is among other things, get to rank 4. And so as soon as you get to rank 4, you're 3/4 of the way to rank 5. Appreciated that. I do kind of miss the machine gun sprees. I love taking my against all odds, although I guess I couldn't use it this year. And just trying to rack up not dying while holding a machine gun against rockets. I thought Iron Banner was pretty good. I know people think I'm crazy. I actually had some pretty good solo runs. It definitely depends where you're located, what time of the day. But I found that if you got matched up against two pretty average teams and you could kind of go Slayer mode, it wasn't tough to pull out a win, especially if you can sort of get some people on the other side to drop out, and then they're sort of playing catch up to you the whole game. I do have to say, we got a question from Christian Y. What's your opinion on sidearms in the Crucible, and do you ever use them? Well, at very last day, got real close with the marks, but I got myself everything. I had drops for the armor, and I got the Nerwins, which is great. But I got the Iron Wreath, the sidearm, and it's a great archetype. It's got the silencer. It feels really good, but the rolls on it are great. Or the vendor roll on it is great. Very, very synergistic. And I found myself actually thinking, you know what? I may go into the Crucible without a sniper or without a shotgun. It's just a great mid-ranger, especially when you're working with like a scout rifle and you want a little close quarter support. Great accuracy in the air too with the sidearms that I was really liking. So all in all, year 2 Iron Banner, I think some people may disagree. I personally thought a big improvement over year 1. I wasn't too worried about the shadow shot, didn't run into that. And lag is lag, but at least on my internet connection, it was fine. No issues.
Space internet.
Yeah. Remember that it's got to go into outer space to send your bullets to people. That even works at all is pretty amazing. I'm not going to complain about the occasional lagger.
Kind of on that note, one thing I noticed playing this weekend, it was after we had recorded with sports psychologist Steve, and we've been thinking for about 2 months now about tilt and, the meta and embracing what's strong, but also complaining about what's strong. And we had said, we had explained our mantra a little bit last week that every time you die, it's your fault. And that got a mixed reaction because I think we need to clarify it a little bit. But I started keeping that in the back of my head. And what that sort of means to me and to us is, of course, if the game lags, which it does, or if you get spawned in a bad spot or you get dropped in a game when everyone has their supercharged and you die, that's not your fault. And I feel everyone's pain on that because Swain, I know, was in a game with me this week. We both got put into a game that was probably 5,000 points from being over, and I got spawn killed by a super for the rest of the game, and I was dead more than I was alive. And at a certain point, I just started laughing because I was like, I just let me play.
It's I have free mark or whatever.
Yeah, but I 100% understand when people get frustrated about that because it's never fun, and it holds you back from just playing and enjoying. But what we mean by it's your fault when you die is when it's stuff that's under your control, because when you're moving, when you're shooting, and when you're scoping out enemies, that stuff is under your control. And when I paid attention to that this weekend and I thought, what can I do to impact the game and to worry about myself and pay attention to what I'm doing, I stopped saying the word shotgun. I stopped trying to sprint for B every time, and I just started really getting in a flow, and I realized all I had to do was tune out all of those issues. I'm not deciding if sunbreakers are broken right now. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I'm not deciding if shotguns are strong. They are. I was just playing my own game, and it worked so well. So I learned a lot from last week.
Yeah, me too. I had a few occasions over the weekend where I got a little too far into the red. It might have been a match where we were up against the no backup plans shotgun Titan that was just skating all over the map, and you feel like he had out for me, and I was just ugh. And I got a little too far on the red, and I just when I got killed, I just put the controller down, did my breathing, and was all right, focusing on not the things that I could change, not rushing to the middle of the map on Frontier, not setting myself up into the sniper lanes, not letting that Titan close the distance on me with the shotgun. And there was a couple of times afterwards I still got killed by it, but I felt a little bit better. And it was all because of last week's episode. I kind of applied what I learned.
Yeah, Swain, you sort of touched on it, like staying out of sniper lanes. I sort of had a realization when I was running sniper and a scout. And it's clear, all right, I've chosen a loadout that's a long-range loadout. I'm going to pin people down. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to support the people who go to cap B or go to cap the point. And when you start to realize it, it's like, who cares how strong shotguns are? The reality is that if I get into close quarters, if I'm in a tunnel or I'm coming around a tight corner and I get killed with a shotgun, I had absolutely no chance of countering that shotgun because of my loadout. And so when I die to a shotgun in that case, it really is my fault. If I'm going to sort of work with the loadout that I've chosen, I'm going to make sure that a shotgunner is trying to close an impossible distance to get to me, and the weapons that I've choose support me as I'm doing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, lag sucks. We can all agree that lag sucks.
When
bad spawns suck.
Yeah, when future patches come in and the Crucible keeps improving, you can 100% guarantee we will be in the tower using our cheer emotes and celebrating. But yeah, there's a finite number of things that you can control, and it just it makes me enjoy it more. I had a great time for the remainder of Iron Banner once I kind of tuned out those exterior issues, and it made me play better, and it was a good experience.
So we had a weekly update come out today.
Yes, we did.
Another good one.
A very good one, yeah. It had a heavy portion of Crucible to it, which is always good. And they mentioned some stuff about the Iron Banner and Crucible in general. The Iron Banner, apparently, you all talked about it. We got a lot of feedback about how we didn't touch on the amount of drops. It felt, like you weren't getting that much. I myself only got 4 things to drop, which is a lot, but I've heard some people not getting anything.
Yeah,
and apparently there's a bug in the code that makes it so that doesn't work out so well, and you're not getting as many legendary drops as you move along. So they are working on a fix, another hot fix coming fairly shortly, soon within the next month, I think they said. They are going to work on that. They're going to get it out. And it actually applies to regular Crucible too. Apparently that bug is messing things up there too.
I was really excited to read that because I will be totally honest. I was honestly worried about what was happening. And I was like, wait, this doesn't seem right. They said it would go up when my ranks go up, and I have so much Iron Banner rank. But then they almost address it immediately, and it's just like, oh, good. All right, so it'll happen eventually. So yeah, first Iron Banner. I wish I didn't have to spend so many marks, but hopefully in the future it's less of an issue.
Well, and this isn't just Iron Banner. This is all Crucible legendary drops. I know in House of Wolves, I was so used to getting like a god tier shotgun like every 5 games or so, just a vault full of Matadors and Party Crashers. And I think I've gotten 2 Revelators so far in year 2, which bully. But yeah. So hopefully we'll see some new stuff coming there.
Hopefully we'll get a little bit less of you're at the top and you got nothing.
Of course. They mentioned the adjusted quests and a couple fixed bounties, and that quest line, as everyone knows, was as Leaf says, glacially long, like very long. So if you haven't done that yet, that's about to get a little bit easier. So and hurry up and do that, because the bounties are fun, and the new ones kind of challenge your play style and make you use a hand cannon. So dig out that Hawk Moon and make you use a scout rifle and play with your teams. And those rewards have been solid. Swain, you've been getting some pretty good drops.
I got a pretty sweet shader this week, the Kingspire, which a lot of people thought it was the raid shader, but apparently
world first.
Apparently it drops from your weekly Crucible bounties, which what happened to me last week. Like right after we got off recording the last podcast, it happened for me. I was like, oh, this is nice.
Meanwhile, I'm just getting IS Lunas at the true mini Hawk Moon.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of strange coins, but that's fine. I like strange coins. Add them to my strange coin collection, which is growing quite heavy. They also announced in the weekly update, we got a date. It's official, and I assume that this implies a patch before this point as well. We are getting trials coming October 30th. I imagine they'll have a Shadow Shot figured out by then and a more long-term solution. You guys ready?
It's going to be a spooky weekend.
Oh, so spooky.
I'm going to stream wearing a costume.
Truly in the spirit.
Costume might be strong. I'm just gonna like put a sheet over my head and cut 2 eye holes out, and have headphones going over the sheet.
I'm afraid that you're going to have like 10 really great trials rounds in a row doing that, and are going to then wear a sheet on stream from this point forward. That's probably what's going to
spooky stream with
happen.
bones.
I felt you needed a gimmick, so this does seem perfect.
I'm really embracing the bones, boneyard, haunted aesthetic that my name so aptly fits.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the trials to come back. Get back in the swing of things. We were doing sweaties yesterday to kind of get back in the competitive mindset. We didn't do too many, but it was nice to feel that level of like, oh, I'm actually playing against someone who's good.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, it was a little strange coming out of Iron Banner and going back to regular Crucible. Going back to regular Crucible. Going back to regular Crucible and being like, oh, it's just regular Crucible again. It doesn't really matter. I can go ahead and try and get those 6+ auto rifle kills now. Cause
it was nice to be able to use my Nerwin's Mercy that I could not infuse, because I wanted to bring that right into Iron Banner, but I had to wait. And that gun is beastly,
isn't it? It's We'll talk about it in a future episode, but
for sure,
you met a gun right there.
Weapon parts thirst is strong.
Straight out of weapon parts.
Guys, I want to talk about the glass needles. Now, I'm a little behind the times. I guess Zer's been selling these for a couple weeks, but I picked up a ton of them, like 20 of them, 30 of them, something like that, last time Zer came by. And if you're not familiar, what these are, these let you reforge your exotic armors. So, of course, you have your exotic perks, and you have some stats that can't change 100%. They let you adjust things like grenade energy or melee speed, that kind of perk. They also, if you're using them on arms, let you roll for the right weapon reload that you want. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I was running no exotics in my armor for a while, but as soon as these came out, I just went ahead and got the young Ahamkara spines and rolled them for pulse rifle and sniper reload and the melee attack speed. And man, I think this is a great way to bring reforging back. It really works for me.
Mm-hmm. It definitely doesn't make it a little unbalanced to kind of like how reforging did before, where we ended up with like, here's your one gun. It's not going to really end up being like, here's your one armor piece that you need to use and the way you need to roll it. It kind of plays into the like specialization, like the way you can like customize everything. You can customize your reload arms. You can customize your, like, do you want rainbows? Do you want the other stuff that comes along with that? I loved it. I did it on my immolation fists to get those perfect, and it's great. I love it.
There's nothing like finding a perk to just kind of take away the joy of acquiring a new exotic.
Yep. Like
just being like, oh, I have a light beyond nemesis, but there's strength on it. Fine. Or there's a reload speed for auto rifles, and I'm not an auto rifle guy. So now it just makes the joy of getting an exotic just that much bigger and better, so you don't have to think like, well, if I get another one, I'll probably replace these. I mean, I immediately applied that to some of my favorites, and I just feel so good about my loadouts now.
It does become like kind of a material sink for everything you got sitting around.
Oh yeah.
I think it costs an exotic shard, right?
A shard and 10 armor parts, along with some glimmer, I think.
Yeah. So like some of you guys are hard up out there for all those. I sure as hell am for both of them. It makes it a little bit tougher to decide, oh yeah, I'm gonna re-roll this.
Yeah.
When it's okay now.
Yep. Look, we're still in the early days. You know, we've got all of year 2 to get this dialed in. I do like how you just sort of helps you optimize the armor. You know, like Swain, like you said, it's not going to be giving you the god roll guns. I'm kind of thinking I might get 3 different spines and optimize them all for the different reload types that I want.
Oh, baby.
Which, if I had to buy those or wait for those exotic drops to happen on their own, just would not happen. I would not do that. So,
you know, speaking of exotics, at Leon Ripper was actually tweeting to me today, and he was asking how we felt about the current exotics and the new ones, and how they compare to legendaries. And I realized Crucible Radio just last week, where we were going over our loadouts, and we had actually said a few times that, you know what, I don't need an exotic primary, and I can actually use all legendaries. we felt it was time to give a grade to all of the new exotic weapons and how they compete in the Crucible, and really kind of decide which ones we felt like were worth using.
The Crucible Radio Report Card.
There you go. New segment.
All right. So what's first?
Well, on the note of special guns appearing out of nowhere, we had the No Time to Explain appear this week. It was quite the lengthy quest line. I loved it. It made you jump back into the Vault of Glass, do it one more time, do a couple other tough strikes. The one mission, I didn't think there was enough Minotaurs in it.
That was ridiculous. I'll just say, I have never seen so many Minotaurs. I was just like, I couldn't even turn around without getting blasted. I was losing my mind.
I love been a few more.
The nonsense they've thrown at us in just like one or two missions has just been making me laugh so much. Like that one thing where you go back to Phobos and it's just like, here, the floor's poison. Also, there's fire. Also, there's Taken everywhere and a Oryx dude flying around. Like they don't let you get these things easily.
All right. So No Time to Explain. It's basically the Stranger's Rifle in exotic form. But they did change the perk on it. It's Rewind Again, which is precision hits are immediately returned to the magazine. This could end up being like a PvE, primary monster. I feel like that, like going against like Golgoroth would be really great. But I took it into PvP this week because I was a big fan of the Stranger Rifle, especially when I restarted my PSN. It was like the only thing I had. But I actually enjoy it. It's exactly the same as Stranger's Rifle. The only reason it wasn't viable before is because it was a blue at one point and then it was a purple. I would give it an A-. I don't think it's too great. You gotta be hitting those headshots and you gotta be hitting all of them in order to get it going. But the perk is you get your ammo back. So A-.
All right, next up is the Gunsmith Hunter exclusive exotic, the Ace of Spades. This is a hand cannon. Kind of looks like the Last Word, but archetype-wise, it's actually closest to the Hawk Moon. It's in the same archetype as the Hawk Moon. I got to admit, I was a little underwhelmed by this. On paper, it looks okay. I just didn't like the feel of it. It had a lot of kick. It definitely felt like it hit hard. But I had trouble just landing consistent headshots. So when you're in PvP, you got to do it. The exotic perk on it is Maverick. Precision kills move one round from your ammo reserves into the magazine. Maybe great in PvE, and I could see the Firefly working well with that. But for PvP, I'm not crazy about it. Some people swear by it, so maybe there's something to it that I'm not seeing. But I got to give this one a B.
It's a niche gun.
Very, very niche.
A little niche.
Nichey. Unlike this next gun, the First Curse, which I got this week for completing the Imprecation bounty, and it's terrible.
Oh.
There's really no point to using this gun. I feel like not even in the right hands does it excel. It's like you took the Last Word and you took away everything that was great about the Last Word, and you're left with this husk of a gun. It was like, oh yeah, here, go ahead, use this. But it's got
Swain,
the perk.
you're not reviewing the Husk of the Pit, right? That's a different weapon.
No, this is the First Curse.
Okay.
With the perk, the First Curse, precision kills while aiming down sights grant increased range and stability until the next reload. Well, it's got like 8 shots. Like, how does that help? Like, and then you're like, oh, I got my precision kill. Like body shot, headshot. So I'm down to like 6 bullets, and I love to reload immediately just out of habit. So like, it's useless. I don't like it. C-.
I would love to see that gun get a little boost because I love the concept and the theory behind it and the lore. But
the lore is great.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, we actually got asked a specific question to talk about the Talalak. Stephen Kent, aka at PGL Plays, was just like, talk about this, guys. So I, being the warlock in the group, have used the Talalak for a little bit, and man, is it good. I don't use it constantly, and I don't use it as in 6s that much, and I've been playing a ton of 6s for some reason because I want to use my Stormcaller all the time. But this thing is like take Mida and shoot it that fast, but also hit just as hard as the mid rate of fire scout rifles and those impacts. Like that is nuts, and the perks really fit in well. You know, it gets accurate as your health gets lower, and then it even just decides to be nice to you and gives you more grenades with Grenadier or Grenadier.
I think it's Grenadier.
I give this one an S. That's above A. It's very good, and Warlocks are going to be using this a ton in Trials, so you just got to get used to that.
Speaking of class-specific exotics from the Gunsmith, we have the Fabian strategy, which is the Titan exclusive. Being the Titan here, I get to talk about it, and I enjoyed it. I played around with it a little bit in PvP once I got it. It's one of those guns that I got, and I played with it, and I was like, just put it back in the vault. But it's apparently bugged. The perk on it doesn't really work all that well. It's called Front Lines. This weapon has increased handling, stability, and rate of fire when enemies are close. It's almost like non-existent the way it bumps it. It feels a little, it's an auto rifle, and it feels like it doesn't get any better as you go along. It's a Hake, so it has that like clunky click 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 like type of auto rifle. A little bit slower. I would compare it to like when you get the slowdown on Suros, I think. Just a little bit hard hitting, and it's got crowd control as well built into it, so it's all right. It's nothing crazy. You can definitely get some kill streaks with it. So I gave it a B.
But what about that other exotic auto rifle?
Oh, yes. The Zalo Supercell. Swain, you got this one. What do you think about this one?
This one's also a decent auto rifle. In the right hands. I am not the right hands. But I do find myself getting killed by quite a few times by people that are really good at it. If it almost feels like you're being surrounded by a Stormcaller when the perk goes off. So its perk is called Bolts from the Blue. Its double kills with this weapon charge a small amount of super energy and return ammo to the magazine. This is where it gets complicated in PvP. It's not that great. It's not that easy to get double kills. But when you are standing near someone and you get one kill and it leaps off that person and onto the other person with the Zalo Supercell perk that chains lightning, yeah, I don't want to be standing next to that. So, like I said, it's in the right hands, and I feel like when in the right hands, it ends up being around a B. It's like an average in everybody's hands, but in the right hands, it could be better. B+.
I'm obsessed with scout rifles in the Taken King, and we talked about this one on an earlier episode, but the Boolean Gemini, I still think does hold up, and I think there are people who really enjoy it. It's the mid rate of fire, mid impact archetype, and that's just become the standard now for scouts. I find myself having to specify with something with a high impact or a low impact, but everything's got this basic archetype. I really like the choice that this one gives, though, with the one way or another perks, which either give more armor or more speed. And it's kind of like it's the spiritual successor to the Mida and the speed portion, whereas the Tlaloc has the rate of fire. It's good. It's easily accessible. It's got unflinching, and you can add a little range to it with rangefinder, which is always necessary on a good primary. I give that one a B+ still.
Speaking of scout rifles, we have the Raid Scout Rifle, the Touch of Malice. It is a Raid Scout Rifle because it should be used in the raid. I wouldn't take it in the PvP. I wouldn't say it's that great. It's got the perk Touch of Malice. Final round of the magazine regenerates and deals bonus damage at the cost of the wielder's life force. It's situational. That perk, like if you get a setup where you have Blessing of Light and you pop in and out your bubble, you can shoot forever with like the extra damage, but not everyone is a Defender Titan, and that's not always that great. So it's kind of like it's got the fast rate of fire. It can be hard hitting once you get that Touch of Malice perk going. But to be honest, I don't have it fully leveled up because it requires a bunch of hadium flakes, and I'm kind of done farming at the moment. But, it could get better as you go along with the snapshot perk and hammer forge and all that. So we gave it a B- because it can be good, but some people might say it's overpowered on the defender.
Yeah, I saw Ed Kutch actually use it in Rumble, and I feel like that's a little bit more forgiving because you have a little bit more time to recover when there's less people on the map. But yeah, I think it's a nice little, definitely a nice little troll weapon. No one likes to get killed by that. But the Taken King brought us a ton of new exotics scouts, which is amazing because we only had that Mida RIP. But I got the Jade Rabbit a couple weeks ago, and I've been using it more than I thought I would after picking it up. I give this thing an A, but I think you really need to be smart about this. So this is the low rate of fire, high impact, and really high range scout rifle. But because it fires slower, if you're not nailing any headshots, it has one of the longer time to kills. It's more drastic. It hurts you a little bit more to hit those body shots, unlike other scouts. So you do need to hit headshots, and you got to be smart. Don't take this onto the Drifter, but Bannerfall for sure. The perk gives added damage if you're chaining body shots, so put 2 on the body and get a stronger headshot, which is awesome. And it works kind of like a bad juju, where if you get that crit, you're going to get a little bit more ammo. I do like it. It's good. The scope highlights enemies just as like a natural here you go, and I think that's the kind of thing I like to see in a gun that makes it feel exotic, because I feel like some of these feel like just good guns. The Boolean has a choice that's pretty interesting, but sometimes they just shoot like a weapon, and this thing, it's got those nice little touches that aren't written out in a stat, which makes it exotic. So I give the Jade an A.
Sorry, Xbox users.
Oh, that's right, that is exclusive.
Yeah.
I never even considered that.
That is definitely one gun that we saw before the Taken King, and when I saw it, I said, "Ooh, I want that gun," but I've not had the drop yet. I mean, thinking about the long range, it almost kind of sounds like you treat it like a super low zoom sniper almost. You go for the headshots, you focus on the long engagements.
Yeah, I would
accurate?
engage a sniper with the Jade, hoping they don't see me first, because it doesn't give the same kind of shake that a pulse rifle does to their screen, but it definitely engages at any viable range on these maps. There's nowhere on the new maps that a sniper is going to actually be at its max range where a scout rifle wouldn't be. So it's definitely one of those guns you can engage anyone on the map.
Well, I just had one of the, moving into the secondary territory, I just had an exotic drop for me. I got the Hereafter dropped. I've got it leveled up, but I haven't actually unlocked the perks yet. Bones, I know you got this one. Should I be using the Hereafter?
I think
it looks cool.
It definitely does. It's A+ for sexiness. I think there's 2 grades I have to give the Hereafter, and I think it's different between 3s and 6s. In 6s, I think it's great. It's got that blinding perk. You kill someone with a headshot, and there's this like weird orb that comes out. And in stuff like Control, where everyone is just going to choke points and crowding up, you get headshots with that, and if your team is paying attention, they'll just light up 3 or 4 guys that you blinded, and that's really awesome. But it is the mid-impact sniper archetype, which means it cannot headshot on revives. And if you know me, I use the 1,000-yard or the Her Benevolence constantly for that reason. So it just doesn't compete in 3s. And if you're going up against someone with a stronger sniper, they'll just have your team on lockdown, and you won't be able to do anything when they're trying to get the res. So in 6s, I give this one an A-. That 75 aim assist is awesome for a sniper. In 3s, I give it a C. I think you just gotta, if you're going to be sniping, you want to get those revive kills.
Well, as you guys can probably tell at this point, I do not actually have many of the new exotics yet. But when the quest for this one showed up, I dropped everything and went for it. I got it that first week. Of course, I'm talking about the Chaperone. And this one, a lot of people have mixed feelings about the quest to get it. I enjoyed the quest. I didn't find it too tough, sort of knocked it out in a couple days. The Chaperone, I'm just going to say right now, I'm giving this one an S. This is one of my favorite year 2 guns, period. You know, I've been loving the snipers, but when it comes to shotguns, I find it hard to pick up, you know, the conspiracy theory or one of the other shotguns or any of the year 1 guns. I want to go for the Chaperone. So this one is different from your regular shotgun. It shoots a slug, so you don't have to worry about sort of that pellet spread. And without shock package, that is something worth worrying about. And the exotic perk, or I guess perks on it, give you, God, there's so many of them. The Roadborne, precision kills briefly grant bonus handling, range, and precision damage with this weapon. And this one is key. You're going to be using this all the time. If you like to get in the thick with the shotgun, you're going to be proccing this one constantly. And I personally find a noticeable difference. The range on this gun is great, but you can feel the limits of it very clearly. And the Roadborne just gives you that boost you need to sort of keep the streak going. The Survivor, 3 rapid precision kills while born on the road is active, will return 2 rounds to the chamber. A little bit longer shot. You're probably not going to be proccing this 1-2 option. More of a PV perk right there. And of course, the Chaperone, that it shoots a single precision slug. Of course, with this gun, you've got to aim for headshots with it. You're not going to get a single shot to the body kill. Although I will say, if you can land that, it is very fast firing. So double tapping somebody in a panic situation is totally viable. Although if you do that all the time, you're going to be running out of ammo. But all the technical aspects aside, I love this gun. It looks so cool. I love the Tex Mechanica stuff. I've loved all of their guns, even the lore text. My mother had a shotgun we called the Chaperone. Kept us alive out there before we got to the city. Amanda Holiday.
Did you just make her British?
And that is how Amanda Holiday talked. Well, let me try it again. My mother had a shotgun we called Chaperone.
Stop.
Is that better? Okay. It's so cool. Just, you know, I'll even say this about it. This is truly the mark of an S exotic. Even Mrs. Birds, who's so sick of Destiny, saw me playing with it and said, okay, that looks cool. That's pretty cool. So, Mrs. Bird, seal of approval.
Use it.
Take it.
All right, next up, we have Telesto, which is the fusion rifle that gets in.
Kind of.
Oh, yeah. You can kind of call it a fusion rifle. It gets an A++ for sexiness, like Bones said, because it's amazing looking. I love it, the way it looks. But it's like, they were like, what perks could we throw on a fusion rifle to make it the worst fusion rifle? It doesn't even hit for that hard, so you can't outright kill someone with it. But it's got the unplanned reprieve perk, which means fusion projectiles attach and detonate with a delayed void blast. So if you like, you know, post-mortem kills, Telesto's the gun for you.
Or just to troll people.
Yeah, or if you want to troll people. I think they're like, there's a montage clip out there of you attaching the projectile to a wall behind 3 guys, and all 3 of them die from it. But they also threw like Battle Runner on it, so it's like it's not even that good with all the like nothing enhances it. But it does have like the Harbinger Spark. Multi kills with this weapon spawn orbs for your allies. Once again, that's a PvE perk. It's good in PvE for clearing mobs. If you can throw it into a group of Thrall and get that multi kill, you're an orb machine. But we're not PvE radio, so I give it D.
I can say, as someone who's gone up against this gun several times, if that delay was a little bit shorter, there might be something here. But in my experience, if you're on point going up against it with any decent weapon, the person holding a Telesto, you're really hoping for a trade at best. Maybe there's someone out there who's a master at it, but I haven't met any of them yet. All right, well, Bones, I know you're a big fan of the sniper rifle. I want to hear about your new favorite sniper rifle,
Bones'
the Black Spindle.
Gun right now.
Aha. I think it's just the truth that some weapons are geared entirely towards PvE, and that's 100% fine. It's actually really cool. I know there's certain exotics that I will pull out in PvE and in the raid that I wouldn't use in the Crucible. But the Black Spindle, No, it's not a PvP sniper. It just doesn't have the perks for it, and the exotic perk will just never proc and honestly not serve you any larger purpose, and that's fine. The only reason I don't give this just an F in the PvP is because
I had to fight for this. I really held him to it.
Look, you made me point it out, and yes, it can headshot a Sunbreaker, but for the one time that might happen a match, no, don't use this for your exotic slot, and that's okay. One thing you should use your exotic slot for, though, is the sleeper simulant. Pause for outrage. I say use the sleeper simulant just for fun. I give it an F for fun. It's not the Gallarhorn that maybe we all thought it might be, which is a good thing because that gun was insane. But in PvP, it's just kind of for fun. It's a nasty, basically sniper rifle if you use it right, and you can get kills with all 4 of those heavy rounds, and for me sometimes I feel like, yeah, maybe I'll take 4 of those as opposed to like 2 or 3 rockets. That's cool. But I don't know, I kind of hoped that the ricochet thing would just sort of do more video game magic than it does, and I understand logically that it has to refract at specific angles and you can't just have it like aim assist its way through a hallway, but I've just been waiting for that triple kill montage clip where it bounces around Pantheon and kills 4 people, but it hasn't happened yet. So once it does, I'll probably stop using it. But it's a fun gun, and you can get kills with it, so go for it if you want.
So there it is. That's our list of Year 2 exotic gun reviews. Maybe to cap it out, why don't we... maybe the real measure of these guns is whether or not we're actually using them. I'm curious, of these guns, which one of them are showing up regularly in your PvP loadouts? Bones, what are you actually using here?
I have the Jade Rabbit and Tlaloc on me at all times. And I have the Sleeper on me because I don't have that much heavy weapons anyways, and it's fun. Yeah, those are the ones that I've always got with me and I'm never going to get rid of.
Swain, what about you?
Well, I carry the Sleeper as well, just because of the shortage of heavy ammo, and for the off chance I get that trick shot every other game and just switch it up. Only other gun I'm carrying around is the No Time to Explain at the moment. Just because I like the pulse rifles and I like that, that archetype of pulse rifles. So I'm going to try it out for a little bit longer. I don't own any of the scout rifles aside from Touch of Malice, so maybe if I had them, I would keep them on me, but until then.
Anything besides the chaperone birds?
Well, I wish I had 3 chaperones. I wish I had one for every character, but I don't know if I want to do that grind. But I feel like I kind of want to answer Leon Ripper's question. How do you guys feel about Bungie making it so the current exotics don't feel very exotic, even compared to the current legendaries? I kind of have to agree with him.
I do too.
It felt like in year 1, you've got guns like Bad Juju with String of Curses. You never ever have to reload with it. You've got guns like Red Death, where not only do you have this image and this lore, but the perks fit with it, that you're stealing life from your enemies and you're recharging. And then just guns that don't have a crazy exotic perk, but just this amazing synergy, that are just, no question, these are primary slot guns. And I just don't feel that way. I just haven't really connected with anything outside of the chaperone yet. Now, granted, I have very few of these guns. Haven't quite committed to the grind for them. But there's, except maybe crossing the Jade Rabbit off my list just because I think it looks cool. I feel like Bungie's really taken a different approach with exotics this year.
I would say that there is some lore in here, like the Telesto has some pretty good lore. Touch of Malice. I feel like they're still incorporating that, and that's kind of why it's disappointing for some of them, because they're so great. Like the first curse we covered earlier, it's like that would be on paper that's great, but they just didn't outfit it with what we're used to as far as exotic perks. Maybe they're taking a little bit easy after year 1 when we threw Thorn out there and we threw the last word out there, and people just like, oh, yep, that one. And that one's got the greatest perk, and we're going to just use that. So I feel like they were trying to keep us from gravitating towards one, but maybe they overdid it just a bit.
Year 2, year of the legendary.
I think maybe that it's a tough question to answer because I don't know if I want exotic to feel more exotic because it gets me more kills, or exotic to feel more exotic because they literally feel and look interesting. And that's kind of what hit me with the Jade Rabbit, like just having a nice hidden perk of a scope that highlights all enemies. And if you think about some guns, think about Icebreaker. There's about 5 hidden things that aren't directly listed in a perk that make you love that gun. The sound, the cool ammo count on the outside, and then the hidden extra perks and things like that. And that
crazy handling speed.
Exactly. Like Nuts aim assist, and that thing was a beast in the Crucible if you wanted to use it. And I feel like some of them, like Boolean Gemini, or maybe Fabian Strategy, and maybe even Talalak a little bit, don't have those things where I'm just like, whoa, this wasn't even there when I inspected it in my UI, but now I'm playing with it, and holy cow, does this help? And I think some of the old ones like Bad Juju and stuff have that for me. I mean, Bad Juju talks to you and has glowing green smoke. That's the kind of gun I want. But I think it is a good thing that the game does not require you to equip an exotic in your primary slot to win anymore. So that's good.
Well, there you have it, guys. I'm curious to hear from you, our listeners, what you thought, if you disagreed with any of these ratings. If you like this segment, I know I'd be happy to talk about the exotic armors, because I got all the Hunter exotic armors. So yeah, let us know what you think, and if you feel like we missed anything on any of these. If you are an Ace of Spades bully in the Crucible, I want to hear about it. Maybe I'll give it a second chance.
And yes, if you're wondering where swords went, well, Swain and I got the solar ones, and we're salty about it because that arc one is so cool.
Oh, you messed up. Arc for the win, guys. Although that planetary resource grind.
Woo!
Oh, what's the point? Give me a break.
The point was for that amazing sniper blade thing that flips you around. I'm just getting jealous.
Go check out that Viz video. Too nuts. All right, folks, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, you probably want to tell us a thing or two. Well, you can do that on Twitter at Crucible Radio, or on our website, planetdestiny.com/Crucible Radio, Facebook Crucible Radio. No, they're all Crucible Radio. You know how it goes. So drop us a line, and we will talk to you next week.
Pretty solid outro there, dude. I'd give it a B.
Give it a B?
Yeah, B for birds.
No, but did you hear how, well, actually, I'm okay with that.